Hello and welcome to the Six Sales podcast. My name's Mike Nicholson from Six Sales. Today I'm speaking to Nick Flood from Shinka. Nick, how are you?
Good. Yeah, not so bad, apart from the rain outside.
Yeah, miserable day, tubes up the wall. It's pretty miserable. I was late coming in, so not a good start to the day. But other than that, nice to see you. Thanks very much for coming in. So for those that don't know, could you give us a little bit of an introduction to Shinka in terms of who you are, what you do, who you do it with, how you do it, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. And I'll cover off maybe some of the other kind of roles I've had over the last couple of years. So been in media for 23 years now. Did a psychology degree, and like all good people, went into sales. So worked at Haymarket for a little bit, 7 years. Then went on to Dennis Publishing, did some private equity-backed data businesses in between that. Then landed at Future Publishing, so I had a good 4 years there where I was running the RevOps function, so globally. So that's all the programmatic stack plus all the operations teams that kind of ensured delivery of revenue across the business and first-party data strategy, etc. Then I moved on to Kindred, which was and is an amazing e-commerce business. One of the only businesses actually with a database deal library across 180 countries of all coupon codes and everything else. And now I'm 7 weeks into Shinka. And Shinka's an amazing business, actually. And by the way, I'm Senior Vice President of Product and Go-to-Market. So that's my kind of areas of responsibility. And Shinka's an incredible business, actually. So focused on omnichannel infrastructure, I guess, or mediation across those channels. The business has been around for about 16 months now, founded by an individual called Kieran Green, who spent the last 10 plus years at Google, where he was running a lot of video divisions across Europe. Currently raising our seed round, and delighted to join the business. The company fundamentally is an agnostic solution that works across any ad server, brings incremental demands, drives up revenue and time to revenue as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about video in its various guises today. I've got the grey hairs to prove it. I kind of started in publishing as well, similar to you, around the time that video was very, very new, and obviously it's not very, very new anymore. It's everywhere. So what is it that you would say that from a communications point of view, that the big power of video? What is it that you think that gives it that sort of special something over and above perhaps display or static?
It's a really good question actually. I think ultimately it holds attention, and that's one of the biggest things, right? So people's eyes are drawn to moving images. We know that, and sound. You should definitely not play video with sound on automatically across the web. But if you actually look at the journey of the web, and I remember working on WAP sites back in the day with the likes of Vodafone that were just text and very information based.
And the bill you used to get if you tried to do WAP, do you remember? Because it was like open ended. I got hundreds and hundreds of pound bill. What was going on here?
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Just hilarious. Like how long ago that was. Whereas now today. Most big publishers, I guess, and just general kind of broadcasters, right, are pumping out lots of video content. It's become significantly cheaper to deliver that content as well, especially with the rise of AI and constantly being bombarded at the moment with AI videos of the Queen rapping, the late Queen rapping, which is not in good taste. But I think it just goes to show that video kind of generation and production is kind of here to stay. It's much more malleable as a format as well, I think, versus display. That's where kind of Shinka is basing itself, because we know that market is only going to continue to explode and has exploded significantly. I think the way it's traded as well, which I'm sure we'll come on to later, is going through a bit of a big change as well. So reading some stats last night, just getting prepped for the interview, and 90% of the global CTV market at the moment is traded programmatically. And actually, if you think about the web as well, and if you look at the big publishing groups, the Hearst, the Condés, the Futures, People Inc., former Dotdash, of course, they all have massive video operations. So it could be teams of creators, video production staff that kind of work behind the scenes, that work with the brands, but also the ability to drive mass scale and adoption of that video, because that's where the yield is, right? And that's where the revenue is ultimately. And if you compare that to standard open auction display, in the UK, you might be getting $1.50 to $2. Video, you're 6 to 8 potentially. So there is money in those hills, to coin the phrase or use the phrase. Sorry. So I think if you can drive attention, you can make money from video.
Yeah. What I always used to say, I mean, as I say, I've been working in videos since the sort of very beginning, if you like. What I always used to say is that it's the medium that most closely resembles the way we experience real life. But you mentioned there the Queen rapping, which definitely didn't happen, right? And we've got this AI video. Do you think there's like a bit of a danger of the blurring of the lines between what's real and what isn't, and there could be sort of some quite serious educational challenges there with young people seeing things, thinking it's real. Probably not the Queen rapping. I think most people would ever work out that didn't happen. But if I was talking to someone recently about this actually, and saying that if it was, let's say it was, I don't know, Keir Starmer, and it was close enough to believable, like he said something, and it was close enough to being believable, that could then have sort of quite serious problems, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the video that the Queen as that kind of random example, it's excellent. Like, it is really believable, right? But you're right. If it's politicians, dignitaries, scientists, kind of talking about discoveries, or this was the fact, or this was history, I think we start to run into quite dangerous territory. So, like, ultimately, there'll have to be some kind of spec or solution to delineate, I think, quite clearly between what's real and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, I've got teenage children, and I remember having an argument with my daughter, and she was swearing blind. I saw it on TikTok, so it's real, and it's okay. I said, yeah, but you do know that can be manipulated. She wouldn't have it. She would not have it. She said, I've seen it, I've looked at it, it's real, and that kind of worries me a little bit for the next generation that are so. Mobile phones, vertical video so prevalent in Meta Reels, TikTok, wherever else, Be Real. And if you start seeing things that you think are real, that you're actually learning off that, right? You're going into the world thinking that that's real. And
the algorithm pushes you further down that route as well.
Oh, TikTok's algorithm is insane how quickly it pivots to what you just looked at. You look at a conspiracy theory about 9/11, before you know it, every video is about that.
Which is exactly why I deleted the app.
Yeah.
Just like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to watch videos of police car chases anymore. Just wasting time, right?
You're a big car fan, right? But there's only so many police chases.
Big car fan. But if you actually look at it and take a step back, like all those businesses have driven those models because they know it's going to drive significant attention. So coming back to the first question, I guess, but also revenue off the back of it. So, the standard feed, again, deleted Facebook a few years ago. It's not on the platform at all. But the feed now, I had a look at someone's phone the other day. It is hideous. So they are driving it towards video because that's where they know, the next big bump will be.
I mean, video is literally everywhere now, isn't it? Like, if you think back to when I started in media, it was cinema on TV was what we were pretty much talking about, but it's now digital out of home, mobile, desktop. You can't go anywhere without video. I think as we've gone from sort of 3G, 4G, 5G, the speeds have increased. It's so much easier to now sort of deliver video and consume video. And one of those channels is, of course, CTV, which I know that you're involved with at Shinka. So what do you think the opportunity is that CTV brings to advertisers over and above, let's say, TV, like standard TV?
Again, great question. I think if you ever think about it, it's now easier than ever to buy omnichannel. Magnite recently acquired Streamer.ai to focus on the SMB market. Like, genius, right? Because there's a whole massive chunk of cash there. But if you kind of think about the big agency groups and the planners and buyers, it's now easier than ever to make sure your assets can be delivered to an out-of-home unit, fast channel, CTV channel, and just standard web as well, and audio, of course. So Shinka primarily focuses on CTV, digital out-of-home, and audio. That's our kind of core stomping ground, I guess, with CTV and digital out-of-home being the biggest of the two. I firmly believe that the technology, especially with some of the agentic AI technologies coming and protocols in the buying space, will just get easier and easier. So you will, in real world terms, be able to say, I want to target X women who are focused or have an interest or have shown an affinity to this particular subject, right? And then the computer just goes off, builds the audience, delivers it, and in some cases will probably build the asset as well. So I think the amount of disruption is incredible at the moment. But if you take a step back and look at the explosion of devices, that's where there's going to be loads of gold, right? And innovation will come from it. So I remember when header bidding first got introduced across the web, 10, 12 years ago now, maybe even slightly longer, to drive up competition. That's what we do at Shinka for CTV. So we are header bidding. We call it mediation. So we talk about how we mediate demand and supply, but ultimately it's header bidding.
Okay.
So increasing competition against a publisher's ad server to drive up fill rates, revenue, impressions, and ultimately yield.
Okay. And what sort of data signals are you seeing in order to decision who gets what ad and how much?
Yeah, so CTV and digital out of home are new areas for me. So I haven't been very much traditional kind of like web-based publishing. There's been a lot to learn, but actually what strikes me about it is it's almost like it's the sector is so ripe for innovation. So yes, there's been loads of innovation around maybe measurement or viewability or signal enrichment to try and drive better targeting. But fundamentally, it's like the web was 10 years ago, and there was loads of innovation then as well. So that's what really excites me about the particular space, that there will continue to be really a lot of enhanced innovation as we kind of move forward. Coming back to the signal piece, because I think it's really important. When people typically are buying, they're buying on most simplistic attributes. What we do is
Like context.
Yeah, exactly. It could be the context of the video. It could be the user ID. It could be the IP address of the device. It could be the category or the genre of what they're watching. I think where we'll ultimately get to is add in loads of additional other signals, very much like you have on the web today, right? So most publishers are passing loads of key value pairs into Google Ad Manager to have targeting capabilities. We'll see an increased amount of that, I think, across the CTV space. And that's what we're kind of here to help with.
And what are the different ways that advertisers can use CTV to target? Because back in the day when CTV, there was about 200 impressions across the whole world. The targeting was virtually non-existent, but I know it's sort of developed a lot over the years. So how many different ways can advertisers sort of slice and dice it, if you like, and say this is how I want to target CTV? Because if there's header bidding for CTV, that would you obviously need to make sense of the inventory and decide what you want, right, and what you don't want. So sort of
the simplistic kind of like key value pair targeting, like you might see on the web, kind of exists today. Right. So it would be basics like category. So horror, comedy, this geography. Geography is obviously very big in the CTV space. So local businesses want to target to specific users.
Yeah.
I think the enrichment piece is the interesting bit. So to match up with other data assets, what that individual might have done. So there's great technology out there today, the likes of LiveRamp and others. We can start to marry really interesting things. So it could be your car number plate, so I know what you drive, and then the ability to add that into the bid request. That's where you then start to get smarter. The most important thing is, are the agencies going to buy against it though? Because it's all well and good. You can have as many additional or enrich as many signals as you want. It always comes back to what are people buying. And I think people forget that quite often.
Yeah. And how are agencies buying CTV? Is it akin to a digital sell, or is it more of a TV sell?
Yeah, I think we've seen money come out of the TV market into CTV. So CTV accounts for 65%. I read a stat last week about it. 65% of all spend now comes CTV out of TV. And next year, it's going to be
being bought by the TV teams, the agencies.
It'd be different teams, like typically. So more of the digital side. So there's still, from my experience, quite a delineation between the more traditional buyers and then the more digital ones, where it will be omnichannel.
Okay. One of the opportunities that sort of presents itself to me anyway is that with CTV, as you mentioned geography before, you can be like super niche on where you want that to go, which obviously with traditional TV, you could do the ITV region, but for a very small business, that might be like the world, so far too big. So it feels to me that because, minimum spends are through the floor compared to traditional TV, and you can be super precise, that it's ripe for small businesses that maybe wouldn't have ever dreamed of using TV, the big screen in the room, to suddenly go, I can run a TV campaign in Epsom and just keep it to that. So do you see that? Is that happening yet? Is that
it's starting to happen? So that I mentioned earlier, the Magnite acquisition of Streamer.ai, where you literally, so I've used the platform. You type in a business name and it generates a 30-second video asset in a minute with a voiceover, some nice imagery, some moving video, of course.
The website of the business, so if it pulls the information from that,
goes to company's house, knows what, so Bob's Tylers, Bob's Floors, and will generate a video asset. Wow. And then the ability to then have that be executed for the 5 streets that customer cares about, I think is going to be phenomenal. Because the SMB space is really always forgotten about, actually. So yes, you've got on the web self-serve platforms where they kind of like try and tap in to the SMB space. So if you look at Reach PLC, they've got loads of local local websites, of course. They do focus on SMB and also the bigger agencies, right? But enabling that for CTV, I think, is going to be quite transformational. And then, of course, is already happening in the States too.
So what was Streamer.ai? Did you say that tech was called? And the quality is really good. Like the adverts that it produces are really good.
It's ace. Yeah, really good.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that would then open up a huge market that hitherto hasn't been touched, right?
Yeah,
like your local Indian restaurant that would love to speak to everybody in their local area, but just hasn't been able to until now.
Totally. So think of a car dealership. So Audi, sorry, just making it up, but their marketing budget will typically be controlled by them. So it could be newspaper ads in the Surrey Chronicle or Times or whatever it's called. The ability for them to move money away from Meta traditionally or Google into those environments, I think is where there'll be a bit of a game change because it can be measured, number one. So are you seeing the ads? And then are you responding to it as well? Yeah. And it's the holy grail, right, for individuals to see their company with a video asset. It's just something a little bit different, I think, compared to print.
It's incredible, really. I've been in this industry for 30 years, and my first media job was selling regional newspaper space to local businesses, and it was pretty much the only choice. There was a radio station, but it was pretty much the local newspaper was the only place that local businesses used to advertise. You look at the landscape today, and the sheer volume of different opportunities that a business has. It's
my first job was selling lineages in What Car magazine. So literally just your name and address as a car dealer for 100 quid. Right. Literally having to phone like 100 car dealerships a day, 5 days a week, literally just to fill out a bit of a glossary. And then, of course, the web completely destroyed that. But yeah, it's mad. Yeah.
I still remember the company name and everything. I started off working in recruitment, selling recruitment advertising for the local area. Yeah. And there was a company called Target Windows, and their logo was a target, like a as you would imagine. And the way that recruitment advertising used to be laid out then is everything was Helvetica. You put a box and then you put the words in the box, and there was very little creativity or images or anything like that. And I guess if I joined the dots looking backwards, I've always been interested in what gets people's attention, because I thought, well, what about then if we put a grayscale target in the background of your ad? So when you open the page, you got all of this text looking at you, and you got that, and it stood out, and it was like it worked. It pulled like a train for them. That it worked really well. But that seems so basic now. When I think back, I think, my God, that's such a basic thing compared to the choice today and the creativity. And this Streamer.ai just is mind blowing.
It's phenomenal tech, and there's of course various other kind of competitors out there. But yeah, no. To your point, I remember going to beg the production staff back in Haymarket Towers in Teddington to stay late to build ads like that, and just get some words on a page with a little picture of a car. Because it'd make me hit my commission check. Whereas now, you can automate the testing of 50 different creatives on the web really easily, fully automated, delivered, done. And the same with video asset as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I wondered, maybe it's something we could do at 6 Hours, but I'm wondering if that there needs to be sales houses set up that get themselves equipped with the right ad tech and go and sell to local businesses TV, because...
it's kind of happening, I think. Really? Yeah, and it's definitely happening in the digital out-of-home space as well. So there's so many companies now being formulated, going to talk to retail stores, corner shops, to put a unit in for free to drive incremental revenue for them. And of course, the way the economy is at the moment, it's a no-brainer, and they see that as a good opportunity. So you'll start to get more and more of these sales houses and bigger sales companies, of course, driving that. And if you look at the digital out-of-home space, massive growth in the States, of course, and LATAM, tens of thousands, if not definitely millions of units. It's starting to, of course, you got all the standard players here, but like going to Sainsbury's now, or Tesco's, or Waitrose, or wherever you shop, you're now starting to see digital out-of-home units at the end of on plimps. So I used to work for Sainsbury's back in the day, so they're called plimps, the promotional areas, right, at the end. And now brands are starting to activate using video and just digital assets outside of the standard kind of traditional marketing. Retail media is it's another really big growth area. I'm speaking to somebody from Halfords about that later on today, but it's fascinating, and it feels like it's another area we're only just scratching the surface of what's possible, right? A lot of retail media is run by shopper marketing teams, and what it basically means is trying to drive somebody that's in an aisle to actually purchase something. But if you work it all the way back with that data, I interviewed had Tesco and Co-op on the podcast in the past, and I think it's 23 million club card holders, Tesco club card holders, and that data is rich that you can go all the way back and start doing what Nick Ashley calls from sofa to store, targeting CTV advertising to somebody, then out of home when they're on the way to the store, and then that plinth at the end of the aisle. Once you're in there, it's because the ANPR's got your number plates and knows it's you. You've entered the shop, or geolocated, right? Dumbhumby, the Tesco data business, is just phenomenal, and of course it can all be matched up on the transactions. So it all sounds really good, and it definitely is happening, but probably not at the scale we think it is, because it's really complex. There's privacy concerns and legislation, of course, and then just to execute those kind of things, stuff always goes wrong. There's technical issues. And also within a client, quite often the brand stuff's done by the marketing team over there, and then there's a shopper marketing team that are doing the stuff and they don't necessarily work seamlessly together. So it's like different budgets would be doing the CTV to doing the shopper. So aligning all that can be a bit of a challenge. I think this is where the big opportunity for publishers are. So one of my ex-employers, Future, like an amazing e-commerce business that they pretty much Zilla and the rest of the team back in the day, set the tone for e-commerce across traditional publishing, and did incredibly well out of it, of course. But ultimately, you then need to try and match it to the transaction out of a cookie or whatever solution you may use for attribution, but it's all doable.
Cool. So moving on to measurement then, how are brands today measuring CTV or digital out of home? What does a successful campaign look like? What metrics are being looked at?
It's the age-old debate, isn't it? And always has been around how do you measure media ultimately? Because you'll watch a specific TV ad, you might have a personal feeling about that. So it could be brand affinity. So you're in the market for a new Audi. You see that amazing video always casts my mind back to it, because it's one of my favourite cars ever, the Audi R8, and just the engine noise, and just incredible. Like you fall in love with it, and that's immeasurable. That just is down to you, right? It's not a transaction. But you get your standard stuff, of course, like your QR codes, custom links, and what have you. But I think there's technical solutions that flow onto transactions, if that is what you're after. So if it is about a transaction, happy days. There's solutions there for that. But you can't really measure what the feeling is for you. Yeah, exactly. So you can do brand uplift and all the kind of like survey-based stuff, but in my view, they've never really worked.
Okay, fair enough. Sort of finally, what's coming down the line in terms of creativity in the CTV space? Typically, you mentioned before that when digital started to get big, there was a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, and it feels that there's a lot of money going into CTV now. If you said 65% of TV is CTV, that's that's a lot of money, right? So I'm assuming there's a lot of sort of innovation and creativity coming down the line. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, so there's been a massive piece around pause ads, of course, at the moment. So ITV, Channel 4, over the last kind of 6 weeks have all had announcements in and around that. So I think that's just the start, right?
For those that don't know what a pause ad is,
you literally pause the content you're watching, you get an ad.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have left the room.
is it a display, a video? Is it?
It'd be a video ad,
Yeah.
typically. Of course, you may be off to make a coffee or do something else, so you may not see it. But there will continue to be innovation. I think actually,
I'm assuming that's sound off, is it?
it depends on how they
Because I think that'd be quite annoying if you're trying to pause the telly because you don't want to, and then it started making noise again. I said stop.
Yeah. I think the real innovation, though, to reference something you mentioned earlier, is in and around sequential ads. So the ability to tell a story or narrate a story over the course of a day, a week, trying to push you down the funnel maybe. So you might introduce you to a new brand. The next one may be about the benefits. And then the last one may be about the kind of like transactional nature of that campaign.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some really cool stuff that can happen there, especially if it's linked to other devices too. So you mentioned going into the supermarket, you see the ad because it knows that it's you kind of stood there. But also second screen, right? So it's easy to tell if you've seen an ad based on your IP address and router, and you've done something on your mobile because it's connected, you can start to join the dots. I think there's going to be a ton of innovation there, which is really exciting. And we're here for the ride, and absolutely, I can see Shinka playing a big part of that.
Fabulous. Well, Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for coming in, and thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers.